Welcome to another edition of the Motley Croc Show. Here we are. It's 8:01. I'm sorry I had some technical difficulties, but that's okay. We're fired up. We're rocking and rolling. And behind the scenes, I had Jimbo Slice and Jeff. What's going on, guys?
What's up, man?
What's going on, everybody?
How's everybody doing?
Doing good. Doing good.
We're
Awesome.
doing.
I'm definitely
Yeah, man.
good.
So anything exciting that we need to hear about, Jeff, and the great world of Jeff?
Shave my beard.
I know you had to do
Yeah.
that, right? You told us. You
Yeah.
said last week you had to do that because you were doing like a test, right? A respirator test.
Yeah. Hey, what's up, Michelle?
Hey, Michelle, what's up?
Yeah, I did it a couple days early, so at least I'd have a little shadow and look like a man when I went in there.
Hey, it looks cute, man. I think you look really cute.
He said,
I just decided to go with the douchiest thing I could think of, and so I went with this here Doc Holliday situation right here, and I figured, they could be like, "Who is this dick?" And then I could kind of, come in and be all myself.
You know what though? It is pretty cool looking though. I got to give it up, man. The soul patch, fucking A.
I took it straight back to the '80s.
What's up, Michael?
Hey, what's up, Michael?
It's badass.
What's up, Michael?
Thanks, man.
Yeah, that's pretty good. Pretty good stuff. I like that, bro. You look clean, and now you look. I would want my life saved from you.
I know. I look. I don't know. You guys better be careful because beards do something to your face. Because it was a hell of a lot nicer when I put the beard on.
I don't know, man. I mean, yeah, I guess it goes. I guess it's something you get used to,
Yeah, I haven't seen my face since 2015. It was the last time I shaved my beard.
15. Damn.
Yep.
But it looks good though, bro. What you have right now looks good though. It looks good.
Okay.
Like
Yeah,
you notice all the tattoos now and stuff.
Yeah, for sure. I wasn't sure if I was going to shave off this too, but I did it. I kind of took it in pieces. I gave myself some big old, chops from Trailer Park Boys. And
Nice.
Yep. I'm sure.
I love it.
Oh, dude, I you can't like take off a beard without doing some fucked up shit to it first.
Totally.
That's
agree with
right.
that.
Yeah, you gotta do phases. Gotta cut it off the phases.
Even Jimmy looked different when we were on the road back in 18. Jimmy grew his beard in pretty thick, and then like he went to go working again on doing something, and he trimmed it all down. I was like, whoa, it looks so different.
Yeah,
I mean, Jimmy's one of those guys that's lucky, man. His beard starts right under his eyelids and down. Like he looks like
I can get it from here.
Yeah, so he trims it up. So it's pretty cool.
The longer I grow it, the more scruffy it gets. Even if I like try to condition it and comb it, and it just looks like an afro beard. It's like
it looks. That's why I did. I did the sides. I couldn't take it anymore, man. I really couldn't.
It's just like crazy.
Yeah, and it looks like you just look like old and shit. And I saw myself I'm like, oh my god.
Yeah. I look a lot older with a thick beard.
Well, it's too much.
Jimmy probably shaved this morning.
I did it actually. Yeah, you can see it. It's there. I shaved 3 days ago.
It looks good
Took
though.
Yeah, it looks good. Everybody's beards are looking good. I figure I'll work my stash game until it grows back.
Jimmy's is like just the opposite. See, my shit grows in gray and then turns dark as it gets to my mouth. I guess it's scared still. It's working. It's killing off the brown. Yeah. Jimmy's grows in brown to gray.
Mine's gray patches, so I'm different too. Like I got a patch of gray here and a patch of gray there. Here a patch, there a patch.
Let's see what Brittany's beard
everywhere.
How's your beard, Brittany?
It's growing in quite nicely, actually.
Jamie, what's up? Let's get it right here. Let's make sure to keep an eye. Yeah.
Hey,
so I mean, that's at least Brittany's got hers. Brittany's got a little problem with her voice. She lost her voice earlier.
Did you check under the couch?
I did. I looked everywhere in the house, so it just is what it is.
Oh my god, I'm talking like Carly Simon.
Or what's her name? Kathleen Turner.
Yeah.
Butched up her voice out of nowhere.
That's awesome. So I'm trying to look.
That's what it is. I did the whole honey, and we'll see.
You sound better. You don't have to talk a whole lot. You sent us some really good stuff, though, Brittany, earlier. So I'm going to forward something over to Jimmy, too, so I can do that for him.
Part of my online learning today was a 40-minute video about the sister Franciscan nuns that founded the church or the hospital. So that was a little boring.
What hospital was it?
It was St. Joseph's. I watched most of it on mute. It looked like it was a televangelist thing. It was terrible.
I watched it on mute. So okay. So Jimmy knows. There's a person that has like a little plant place out by my parents, and you know what I'm talking about. Jimmy's got tortoises. He's doing a really good job out there. Got a great.
Oh yeah. Yep.
So he calls me the other day, or sends me a message, and and if he's watching, I'm not going to throw his name out there unless he texts me and says do it. So the largest underground bunker you guys can look it up. The largest underground bunker. It's hidden. It's in Mount Dora, Florida. It's either at some base of a neighborhood or it's in like this orange grove or something. But there's some articles on it. And people actually went down in there, man. There's cans in there from the 1950s and clothing and all kinds of like ovens and things that you would just.
Wow.
So I really want to try to. I mean, we've been trying to find it. A couple friends of mine from Lake County were trying to figure it out as well, and it's just amazing, dude. It's like the oldest bunker, and it's the largest bunker.
I'd go spelunking down there with you.
What's up, Delana? What's that?
I said I'd go spelunking in the bunker.
Wouldn't it be cool to go down there and check it out?
Hell yeah, dude.
We go spelunking down there together.
I'm ready. I'll spelunk with you.
It reminds me of Blast from the Past with Brendan Fraser.
Oh yeah, that's right.
You know,
I'm sure there's probably like a race of like mole people that live down.
Most likely.
You know, they'd have no eyes. They're always in the dark. Their eyes are just milky white.
It's called the Forgotten Mount Dora Catacombs, man.
Damn, I want to go in
Really?
there.
Yeah, the 1961 missile crisis. Well, can you imagine?
Oh, the Cuban Missile Crisis.
Yeah, can you imagine that it's closed off? Nobody's been in it since 2015. When a
Thanks,
group of people,
Judy.
That's funny.
Raining on our parade.
what's that?
So that's funny because that's the last time I saw my face. Coincidence?
That's pretty scary.
I think not.
yeah, Judy was just like a seagull. She just flew in and
Judy, can you delete that comment real quick just so it's not on this post?
I didn't see any comment. I'm not even looking to the right.
I know, right?
And technically, it's not that unless you get caught.
Oh, it's on private property. That's okay. That's okay. We can find out where it's at and ask permission. We can do like a legitimate walkthrough.
yeah, you can get permission, especially if it's a historical piece. You should be able to get permission from the owners. A lot of times they think it's so cool. They like to share that stuff with you, or if it's
as long as I think. Well, they've been keeping it quiet. I think they don't want anybody vandalizing it.
Right, but if you're professional, like, and you come in and you talk about it, you know, and then you show the respect of it. Sometimes if it's on their property, they may actually have done more research into it, so they may actually be able to tell you a little bit more behind the scenes cool stuff that isn't public knowledge, which is really cool.
Yeah, definitely.
Dan wants to know if anybody. Dan's talking about Carol Baskin and stuff.
Yeah.
Wait,
I read about it, but I don't know. I read it a little bit, but
he's living in the underground bunker.
Yeah, I think that's what it is, Jeff. He's in the bunker of Mount Dora, and they found him down there.
I don't know. You think that would be like pretty big news if they really did find him?
yeah.
You would think so.
Fake
Because,
news.
I mean, like, they put her back in court, so to claim that she murdered her husband. So I think if he was found alive in Costa Rica, they'd be like, big news, big news.
Yeah.
You know, if
Big
somebody, if I don't understand why nobody's. I mean, if it's that big of a deal, you don't think somebody knows about that stuff, like would know and like really get into it? Like, don't you think that would be a?
It would be on every network news for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely.
You know, they're too busy with the classified documents that everybody seems to have now. I actually have to check my house for classified documents later just to make sure. You know.
Yeah, let's touch on that before we get into anything paranormal real quick. So the other day, I was in the kitchen and, you know, I just turn on Alexa and I'm cooking or doing stuff for the animals, whatever. And the thing comes in and says, you know, updated report, you know, ask Alexa to play now or whatever, mass shooting in California. Did you guys see that?
Two.
Okay.
Yeah, two now.
Same guy.
Okay. So don't you, and now I've said this a couple shows back. Don't you think that is funny that they're finding, you know, Biden's got all this bullshit in his house, right? And all of a sudden we get another mass shooting. It's like redirecting it again.
Well, they found it in Pence's
now, that could
house,
be coincidence, but come on.
I mean,
Yeah.
I doubt it only because, you know, when his lawyers found the documents, they turned them in. It took them a little while, true. But now they said today they found documents in Mike Pence's house as well.
So they're going to be distracting. I think it's funny that there's always some sort of catastrophe or violent shooting or random stuff every time there's something big political going on. And the closer and closer we get to 2024, always the same thing. I mean, people can lie, whatever, man, whatever. But to me, as many decades as I've been alive, I've seen this kind of shit happen over and over again. It's like, you'll get like the Democratic Party will go in, and then your gas prices are super high. Your Republican Party goes in, it goes low. Then they want to fight for it again. That 4 year comes up. Who wants the 8 year? Boom, boom, burn down the city, shoot guns, burn it up, beat people up in Walmart. Then it kind of levels out again. And then we go back to elections, and it's more mass shootings and stuff like that. It just, dude, it's so funny. That's always right in the middle, right when it's getting close to the next thing. To me,
it's a horrible cycle.
I'm not saying that that's what it is. I'm just saying,
it seems too fitting. It happens too much,
and it's so easily.
Or it could be like the other side of the coin, like it could actually just naturally be happening, but because they're pushing the agenda of no guns, they're going to push all of those stories right to the front to push their agenda, even if nobody like put them up to do it. You know what I mean? So either way, it's still going to hit news media as like a major, big story.
It's a major, big story.
Yeah.
It was the guy was off the fucking rails.
Yeah.
When he shot, now it's like
so much stuff now is
the other. What's that?
So much stuff now is so twisted. Like everybody knows Britney's an Elvis fan. So I saw this America's Got Talent thing where this guy came out with like 7 different cameras and he performed as Elvis Presley. You couldn't tell the difference on the screen. Then he brought 2 of his buddies out and they made him look like Simon Cowell singing, and it looked like he was really up there doing it. So then I started like, well, I'm gonna rabbit hole that stuff, and I started looking. And then I start seeing this stuff like in Russia where they're changing the faces like 7-8 times on one person, making them look like different speakers at the house, and then all these things that are coming up where like there's photographs of people in the big meetings and for lack of a better term, a commissioner's meeting, like a big one or a national commission meeting, whatever. And like, you'll see a photograph and there's like, it looks like 700-800 people. And then all of a sudden it's like the same person. Like there's 3 of Jeff doing the same thing sitting there. There's 5 Troys on this side. And it's like they blended it all in, and you don't really look at that, right? I know your subconscious sees it, but nobody else does. And then you start looking, you're like, holy shit. And then you find out, wow, that was somebody really posted it on a news thing, right? Or you'll see all that stuff, or you'll see something like Bigfoot stuff, right? Where like somebody will get a really good footage of it, but everybody's automatically, that's fake. It's not real. It's not on the Real News Network. Now, I'm not saying Bigfoot's real or he's fake. I'm not saying that. I'm saying that some of the stuff, I'm going to bring it over to like the paranormal stuff, because it's funny that you can do whatever you want now and believe it. Like Jeff and I can do a speech and they can just overlay Biden's face on us. And
yeah, it's deep faking. That's what's called.
Yeah, the deep fake stuff. And the computer, the artificial intelligence is so good now at matching. It's just unbelievable. Like you can actually buy it. It's like $200 or whatever, or 30-something, $35, $40 a month. You can buy that stuff, make a whole movie, and then I could go back in, upload it, and then make the movie. I could act the whole movie out, but I could be Jimmy in the movie. Is that ridiculous?
Yeah.
Nice.
Great if you were Jimmy in the movie. I'm just saying.
You know what I mean? Like it's like, wow, dude. It's not like the old, where you make the Christmas card, everybody's head's this bobblehead, but it's like really weird because they're doing that type of stuff. And yet, there's a lot of footage of things that need a little bit more, investigating. There's some other really weird stuff going on, man, like portals and really weird things that I don't know if they're easing us into it or, whatever, but it's just, it's so crazy, which means then I can go back and say, and then they can turn around and they can fake UFO stuff
all the time.
They could fake. I'm talking about the government could fake it to make that the next scare tactic.
Yeah.
Like let me just say, you want to talk about panic. Let's be real. And anyone who's listening, listen to this. If you're at home, you're making food, you walk the dog, you're with your kids, you're hanging out, whatever, and the news comes on, and it's Fox and CNN and NBC and all that, and they're like, all right, we have alien spacecrafts coming in. We've already got some stuff in the streets, and that's broadcast everywhere. You want to talk about mass hysteria? Only a few people will be out there eating mushrooms going, take me with you. oh my God, they're our creators. You know, the Lord has returned or whatever. But then other people are going to freak the fuck out. Like, what was it? Wells, right? What was it? Orson Welles, something like that. Or
Orson Welles.
Yep. Remember, and the War of the Worlds. And then later on, they found all those people that killed themselves, or the father shot up the whole family and killed him, and then himself, like all through the neighborhoods and all. I mean, can you imagine that? And that was just a radio thing. And then at the end, he said it was a joke. So imagine if they did that, or say everybody's got to go inside and say it's not real, you know, and then the military's dispersed. They don't know either. They're just doing their protocol. It's another way to you know, I don't believe it's outlandish. It's another way to scare everybody into their house. Like when COVID, I mean, I remember it was a ghost town, just driving around places and looking at the movie theaters barred up and nobody on the street, and animals were everywhere. And I saw more alligators and more animals flying around than I ever did. It was just weird. And then, you know, thank God it went back to normal, because I like being out and about. And I did, believe me, I like to travel. All right, I like to be out. But but imagine them doing that and saying it was a you know a supernatural, or you know, aliens are coming. Get in your homes, lock down till further notice. We're still in negotiations, and they're showing you videos of these things talking to the president, and you know, you don't come out. We're not sure if it's safe, and you know, you don't know what the fuck, man, they could pull off with that stuff. So
no,
that's very interesting to me too in itself. It's just food for thought. Hopefully, it never happens in my lifetime.
I doubt it, but you never know.
But we are more, you know, I often hear people say, well, you know, back in the old days, it just wasn't that bad. Yes, it was. Yes, it was. There was a lot of that. You don't think people were molesting kids and raping and beating up their women and racism and hurting people? It's because we didn't have social media and we couldn't pump it out there.
Exactly.
We didn't have
to hear about it as quick.
Exactly. If I lived in Arizona, right, and a fucking hurricane happened in Florida in the early 1900s, I don't fucking know about it. I probably would never know about it. You know what I mean? Unless, you know, a telegraph came and they'd be like, hurricane in Florida devastates 9,000 people. And you're like, whoa, that's scary. But nobody knows. Now it's like, whoa. But they always say, but all of that was going on, man. All of that disgusting stuff. Matter of fact, it was probably easier because you could get away with it.
Yeah, well, it's the news outlets that you really have to look at. They're the ones that profit the most from keeping everybody scared. You ever notice right before the commercial, they're like, you know, a household product in your cabinet could kill you in a second. Right after these words from our sponsors, you know, exactly. Every time, you know, and they make it seem like you have to be back to watch or you're just going to fucking wither and die. Yeah, and they all do it. Fucking Fox, CBS, NBC, CNN, whoever, you know, it's you know, and they skew the news to fit their readers. Again, all do it. You know, there's an agenda. Everybody's got an agenda.
Yeah, I agree.
And
I just think we're exposed more to it. And so earlier, you know, I have XM radio. I listen to a lot of stuff. So a lot of times I'll put on like the, you know, the 80s stuff, or, you know, just kind of that era, or Hair Nation. But the DJs will come on and talk sometimes. And they said, you know, and think about this, Jeff, you'll remember this. The first really big, in my opinion, social media outlet, especially for youth, was MTV.
Was what?
MTV.
Oh, yeah, totally.
You would wait. MTV Live News would come on, you know, like when Michael Jackson would start to do something. I found out tonight that, you know, Madonna's made over $1.8 billion in her career. That's a lot of money. That's a lot of money. She's a billionaire in her career. And they were saying, think about this, folks. When she performed, she sometimes would make $300,000 to $400,000 a concert during her trips in the 80s, and at only $15 a ticket. Now to go to those things, they're $8,000 to $1,000 just to see, you know. And she's going out on the road again. So, but everybody knew that. So the social media outlet was MTV, and so the youth watched the MTV news, and anything that was going on politically, or don't you remember Turn In Your Guns for Sneakers and all? You remember that? You remember that? Turn in your guns for sneakers or whatever. And if the kids brought their guns in, they would give them Jordans and shit. You remember that stuff? So all young kids and you know, in rural and urban America would be taking their guns in to get a pair of Jordans or whatever. And then after they got all their Jordans, they used the guns to kill people to get them back. What's that?
That was before, I think. Carson Daly.
Kurt Loder.
Before Carson Daly.
Kurt Loder.
I don't remember before that.
So, I mean, so now our big outlet is, you know, a lot of times I look at social media as like, what we do here, this is fun because it's a meeting place for us. And,
Sure.
and it really kind of shows who we are as people, and people can, because everybody's always got a story about somebody. Everybody's always got something to say, but I think we're pretty transparent in what we do and what we say. But I like seeing you guys and our local people. To me, it's like meeting with your friends every week. So I do use social media. It's good to get it out there and have fun with people and do that type of stuff, and then talk about our day to day. Like,
Yeah, absolutely.
we all want to know what's going on, and people like to know what's up, and it's fun. And people come in and comment, and then we talk about Jimmy's got all his animals produced, and then Jeff's like, oh, I got this new job, this is killer, and Brittany's like, oh, this just came in, so I think it's good, and there's some guests I want to bring on, and there's some big guests I want to bring on, and when I'm ready to take those guests on, I mean, we've done a lot of talking, and when we bring them in, it'll be really explosive. But I don't know if I really want to get to that level. Like, do I really want to ruin the Croc show and make it this big thing, or do I just like it the way it is? I mean, I don't know. It's tough. Like, I think I want it to go further, but I don't want it to be where it's like a mess, and that's one of my main reservations about taking the Croc show out to more than making it a mess, if that makes any sense.
You just don't want to make it a job.
Right.
You want to make it something that's fun still for everybody.
Yeah, and I have a good time with it, and I like seeing you guys every week. We meet every week. We're not those people that lose contact with each other. And even if one of us can't be on, like Jimmy was traveling last week, we talk. Hey, man, I'm not going to make it. Okay, cool. But we talk every week. Kind of reminds me of back in the club days, Jeff. We had church every week.
Yep.
You met with your people every week. And I think that,
this is our meeting. It's our weekly meeting.
Well, thanks, Michelle. And I hope your MIA was good. Nothing bad. But so, I mean, it's a really good thing like that. So what I mean by social media is really destructive, though. And so I get away from it quite a bit. So you'll notice I don't like a lot of things on social media, right? Because I don't see it for like 8 to 10 days later, because I'll take one day and look at it. Yes, I'll go on Instagram because, I have good friends that send me stuff to make me laugh. I mean, Matt, Jimmy knows Matt. Him and I are constantly at war with the stuff we send each other.
No, you guys crack me the fuck up.
And then Flavio comes in with stuff that I can't even believe is illegal, and I just throw it out there, and then when I get a vomit phrase from Matt, I'm like, I've won this round, man. I've won this round, because Matt is awesome at sharing stuff, and then I sift it, and then I send it to Brittany late at night or Jeff, just because some stuff you guys just have to see.
Yep.
And it's really okay. I mean, I'm glad to see that stuff isn't really getting canceled, and we do some really weird stuff, and we go out and do really crazy things, and I don't want to be canceled for the stuff I do, so I don't want to cancel. I don't care if somebody gets on and hates us. I don't want them canceled. Do your thing.
Yep.
I don't care if they start an anti-us show. I don't care. Do your thing. But it's a really crazy situation. But with that being said, we also have fun topics. So, Brittany, I know that you're not going to talk a whole lot, but that you were telling me about this mirror.
Mm-hmm.
Can you explain a little bit of that, or will it be too much for your voice?
No, I can.
Okay. So it's a paranormal mirror, is from what I understand. So anybody's listening, it's like something's connected to it, and they don't understand. So take it from there, Brittany.
There was apparently and I don't remember the state, and I got to look up the name. I meant to do that before I got on the show. It's been around for probably 80 years or so. And it's a cabin in the middle of the woods, in the middle of nowhere. But inside this cabin has a lot of remaining furniture, but there's a mirror in there that sits on the floor. It's a really old, beautiful Victorian mirror. And it's said that if you stare in it long enough, the devil will show you how you're going to die. Like he'll show you things, and you'll see the devil himself. And I've known an individual who did a show who actually went in there and sat in there, and to this day, he won't discuss what he saw in the mirror. It changed him. But the lure of it is a lot of the people that go and basically test or dare each other to go in there. Most of those people will kill themselves within 48 hours after seeing whatever they saw in the mirror.
Well, let's go, Jeff.
I'm ready. I
So,
can take it.
I think that, first of all, that you have an interesting thing by saying that. You have any opinions on that, Jimmy or Jeff, before I start?
I mean,
I didn't hear it broke up on my end.
There's a mirror in this old cabin that Brittany stated that people have said if you go into the place and stare into the mirror, a devil of some sort. She said the devil, but a devil of some sort will appear to you and show you your death, like give you your future, like a paradox. And she knows some person that went in there and he won't talk about it, changed his life. However, people have been daring them, friends and stuff, to go in there. When they do, they're killing themselves within, 48 hours afterwards. That's like, so I guess it's a documented thing. So that's what she was saying, I believe.
It's really well known in the state that it's in. Like, it's a big dare in the high school community and college age community to like go have a couple beers and go dare each other to go sit in front of this mirror in this random place in the middle of the woods. And people documented, like, you'll hear screams coming from the woods out there. People have documented weird things hanging from the trees. They think that are like sacrificial things given to the people or whatever they think lives out there as spirits. So there's a lot of history around that area. And I'll get the name and I'll text it to you guys on a group text and then we can post it. I didn't get a chance to look before I got on here, but it's known. It's been known for years because there was like a really bad murder that took place in that cabin a very, very long time ago.
Sorry.
So yeah.
Okay. So now. So like I'm saying, any opinions? Because I'm gonna spin off that a little bit.
No, that's just crazy. That's fucking nuts. I'm gonna read up on that. That's interesting. I don't think I'd want to know, man. I don't think I'd want to.
You can change it. You can be somewhere else. You can do something else. You can put on your.
You can do a lot of things. You can shoot the mirror when you go. I mean, there's a lot of things you can do.
Exactly.
But so here's what I want to say about that. A lot of kids, like high school kids, get excited and stuff, and then things get involved. LSD, drunk,
Right.
too high, mushrooms, and you can convince anybody of anything if you get them on enough mushrooms. Just saying. Now, I'm not saying that mirror is not real, and I don't deny anything paranormal. I do a lot of work with it. Anybody who knows me knows I dabble in that a great deal. Matter of fact, it's a little too addictive for me sometimes because I have seen a lot of stuff. Jimmy's been with me. He's been present. We've had some really good experiences together. And, Jimmy's just a regular guy. It's not like he's out there like, oh, he's this wacko. Oh, Jimmy's weird. He's not. He's just a normal guy, and he sees the same stuff. It just shows you that you can be from all walks of life. Now, when I hear that there's a mirror with something in it, that goes back, 1,000 years at least, where any type of reflective stuff can hold spirits or that was a big belief in a lot of different cultures. So there is some truth to that. I can't say that, having discussions with either Christians or atheists, it's very hard to talk about the afterlife because they both have their view on it. The way I view it is that I have a beautiful car and an awesome truck. Jimmy has a badass truck, but if you don't have a battery, that motherfucker ain't going anywhere. So the battery is the electric soul to that vehicle, which powers the brain to that vehicle, makes it what it is. And so without those batteries, which I would consider to be one of our souls, it's not there. I don't think we're just made up of juice and water and when the chemicals make the juice. I mean, it's unfathomable to think that how many of us little guys don't make it as a little semen's sperm guy, and we're swimming as hard as we can, and we're sword fighting all the way through to get into this egg. I mean, we really have to think about that. Like, where does that spirit start? Does it start in that little thing? You know what I mean? Does it start in that little white tadpole fighting his way up there to be the lucky one? And what were the other ones, and where did they go? Did they die or were they regenerate? It's just the weirdest thing, and it's almost like trying to wrap your mind around space. So there's so much truth to it. That's why I know my fair share about animals, and I enjoy them. And then I start really watching them, and I start comparing. I think animals have their own forms of stuff too, because they are logical thinking, but I don't think they're not contaminated like people. People are contaminated because they're raised to believe this, or they're raised that this is not right or this is wrong, and so you get stuck in that. You're wired, so you really have to learn to meditate and learn to unwire all those bad habits. Right. Yep. And you really need to connect your organs inside your body, your heart, your guts, your brain. Everything has to connect back to your spirit again, and you have to be refreshed. Yep. So I do see things. Have I seen some stuff that's bad? Sure, because there's bad people. Right. So
yeah,
in
exactly.
Realm, they're going to be bad there too. So I think it's just like another journey. I mean, and are there other substances that people over millenniums of time call demons? Absolutely. And so what I always found interesting about reflections is that crystals and quartz hold video, and I'm saying video to make it a layman term, video and sound, right? If we could find a way to get into it, we could watch live things happen at the Civil War, right? Anything that's in the ground recorded, if we can get it out. And eventually, I think we will. So the fact that people think that souls and stuff are caught up in there, I mean, there's a big possibility that that's true. I mean, there's a possibility that in mirrors and things like that, maybe we're not supposed to have mirrors. I don't know. What do mirrors do? They make us vain.
What if you don't believe in the devil?
And that's what I'm saying. So there's other things. Exactly. That was my point. So are there things on the other side? Sure. And I think over time, we've created that stuff to make it easier for us to accept.
Well, it's believed, like even in my research, like I spent an extensive 9 months researching and investigating Gettysburg. Yeah, David, I'm okay. I've just lost my voice. I had a really rough week last week and it's just gone. Anyway, so in that research, we discovered that basically the amount of quartz crystal and limestone underneath Gettysburg would be enough to build like the tallest building in New York. And yeah, Gartano, it's one of his episodes as well. He saw the mirror too. Anyway, so basically what I believe is happening over and over again, because it is a recorder. Quartz crystals record. It's in everything. It's literally, that is how we started using watches and computers. Everything we have is quartz crystal because it records. And so when we have major electrical storms, you're literally giving the power to the brain to work, right? So you're giving power to your camcorder to record and then play back like a video. So what happens when the ground is electrified in Gettysburg, it's actually playing back the war. So when people are seeing these, images or apparitions and they think it's ghosts of what they think are soldiers from the time of the Gettysburg War, it's not. It's just that the ground has been electrified so much and there's so much quartz crystal that it has enough power and energy that you're almost looking at it like a hologram. It's now projecting the past and you're watching it like a movie.
It's really
cool. So it's all energized. So I'm not saying that there isn't some ghosts or apparition things that have happened there, but Gettysburg has such amount of energy coming from the ground that it's created its own time bending as well. And so it's really a fascinating thing, but quartz crystals is known for that. So Troy's right. Even with a mirror, they were used with priests for exorcisms. They would trap the demon in and then they would break the glass. And then that demon was gone forever.
Because he couldn't get out of that particular portal, in other words.
Right. He was trapped within that.
And that's just like, again, folks, that's a belief.
Right. Well, I talked to certain priests. I talked to a priest actually who told me that they did do that. That was a common practice in exorcisms. They would use them. They would have one ready if they needed it. And they would ask everyone that if you are not strong enough to be in the room to please leave, because they didn't want the demon to transfer to an empty soul, another soul that was not strong enough to withstand the fight. And so they would be asked to leave.
Which is true. And I mean, there's a lot of that. And I think it's interesting because, there's a big difference. I mean, you've got a bunch of different religions, between all kinds of Judaism and Christianity and Muslim. And it's just interesting that it's all the same thing with all different names. But in the Jewish practice, they don't believe in the devil. And that was a very fair point there, Jeff, when you said that. So in the Jewish religion, they don't speak of the Satan is not spoken of like that in the Torah, even though most of the Torah is the Old Testament of the Bible, which is interesting. So it just shows you that man gets really involved, which I'm okay with that, whatever. But when you go to I think you feel, this is my opinion, and I'm not saying this because, I don't want anybody to take it the wrong way. I think that when you if you go to a church, any church, and it's very different in very traditional. I've never been to a temple, so I can't speak of it. So I'll let Jeff handle that if he's ever been to one where what their practices are. But like the difference between Catholicism, like real strict Catholicism, I know like everybody makes fun of it, like, oh, they're eating this and molesting kids or whatever. And it's all fun and games, right? But I've seen that a lot in Christian churches too. So aside from all that garbage, when you take a group of people and you've got a speaker up there and they're already not feeling well and they're looking for hope, you're talking about people that have been sick or lost a child or whatever, you create this large power amongst somebody. If you break down the Bible, says you can do that anyways on your own, right? So so basically those churches are like helping people achieve mental breakthroughs. Like they're getting to a higher level of consciousness, in my opinion, using God. I'm saying my opinion because I'm sure there's going to be people who hate me for saying this. So I'm not downing religion. I'm just saying that there are priests that go in and do horribly tough jobs with exorcisms and stuff. And I think that they don't speak about it because I think that they do know things that they don't release. I don't think we're ready to understand what they're doing. And I'm not saying it's, the Trinity or God or Jesus or whatever it is. I'm saying that they do that. But if you think about the Vatican, what's hidden over there?
Oh, I'm sure there's some crazy.
Every Catholic that I've ever met has no idea what's in the vaults in the Vatican. You have to be such a high. I mean, hundreds of thousands of people go out and watch the smoke change out of that chimney thing, or whatever, to determine if they're going to get a new pope or if he's died. I mean, there's so much practice to it. Like, I would love to dig into that because, to me, that's really supernatural stuff, right? Mm-hmm. And it seems like it was too much for the layman, so they created this spinoff called Christianity. And then they took it from Catholicism. But if you go back to old Catholicism, they took a lot of their traditions and practices from the Druids, right? And the Druids did talk about spirits and, moving on to the next world and elders coming back and speaking to you and leaders, etc. So I wasn't there. So, but people talk to me like, well, there's no such thing as ghosts because when you die, you go to heaven or hell. You need to really reread the Bible there, guy. There's a few things you need to look at. Right? I don't think you die immediately and go to hell, because if you did, why would he let you sit in hell just to bring you out to put you back? Why would he just leave you there? But he said all bodies will rise, right? So you need to learn what you're going to say before you say it. So, but that's like a whole thing. And I look into the Bible for a lot. There's a lot of supernatural stuff in there. A lot. I mean, I always found it interesting that Moses was the only one who was ever able to sit in the presence of the ark.
So we saw what happened to the guy in Raiders, man. Face melt.
Well, that was the point. And that's from the Bible. If you read that,
yeah,
it was so great. They would just erupt. Yeah. They couldn't go near they couldn't go near it.
Well, and it's interesting because the location that they believe that the Ark of the Covenant is in, it's the big conspiracy location. What I always found really weird is it would make sense it'd be hidden in plain sight, obviously. But what I do find interesting is the monk that watches over whatever relic from Christ is in that building, each one has gone blind. At the moment they take the job, they are unable to look at what they're seeing. Each one has literally gone blind, and they are solo and they work the grounds alone, but they are completely blind. Every time they get a new one that takes over, he goes completely blind the moment he sees the object. So it makes me go, and that's been proven.
It makes you go,
Means it make you go,
Exactly. But you sit there and you go, it would make sense if it was hidden in plain sight, but it would also make sense that something like the Ark of the Covenant that was only seen by one person in the Bible would make us go blind because we are not strong enough to see such glory. If
it's glory, or if it's of alien nature. Didn't they take it, Jeff? Didn't they take it for 40 days and 40 nights? Didn't it feed the people?
Well, heaven fed the people.
Listen, man.
Like, bread. And
they said it was from the ark. Like, there's a lot of work into that. And so, it was just cool that Moses came down with the 10 Commandments.
Yep.
He's the only one that could stand before God. He's also the only one that could go in and sit with the ark. Okay. So there's some supernatural shit there, guys. It's not all about Hashem Hanamana and all that stuff and healing people and all that stuff. It's not about that. I mean, there's a lot more to it. In
our ancient culture and stuff, people just seem to forget. I mean, as far back as the Bible and further back, it's been talked about ghosts and our ancestors coming in dreams and visions. And, that when they've passed, they're not really dead. They're just coming from us from a different dimension to come and lead us and guide us. Like even in certain Chinese and Japanese cultures, you would go and meet with your elders. You would go and talk to your grandparents to guide you. You would go in alone and go sit in a temple, and the elders who were your grandparents and great-grandparents and so forth would come and talk to you from the other side and guide you in your purpose, guide you in your life's journey.
It's awesome to me.
So
let's forget about a character.
We always forget about those things. Why? Why are we not taught that? It's incredible.
Well, we forget about a character that's that's pretty badass from the Bible. Probably one of my favorites, the Holy Ghost.
Oh yeah.
Nobody ever talks about him.
I don't know much about the Holy Ghost.
But isn't it interesting how there's one, they call him the Holy Ghost. I mean, that's the word. So what the hell is that? So he's part of the Trinity, but he's not spoken of. So, I mean,
like the Holy Ghost is really
look, bro, 2,000 years from now, they could dig up the Croc show, right? Well, these guys are, whoa, man, that guy, he raised crocodiles, and this guy did this and that, and this guy was a lung healer. You don't know. I mean, there's so many things, but the fact that they called him the Holy Ghost, or like when the angel of death was cast out and they be putting lamb's blood on their door, the angel of death, the spirit of death.
Yeah, that's
the Reaper
right there, man.
There's so much supernatural there, perception, and I'm not going to blame it or hold it against anybody who wants a simple life. Like they just want to believe that it's special. They're going to go to the streets of gold. They're going to pray at night, and everything's okay, and they hide from the things. Well, I'm sorry, the world's a lot bigger, so I have to keep digging, and so there's a lot to that. So there's supernatural in the Bible. That's why you can't throw it away. There's supernatural in a lot of religions if you really read it. And maybe a lot of it was suppressed just to keep, a lot of us in line. I mean, I don't know. What do they teach in the temple? Like, is there something really crazy in temple when you go? Like, is it a tradition? What is it, Jeff?
Somewhat. I mean, they, as far as like Moses goes, that he went up, on the mountain, saw a burning bush.
Right.
Burning bush. And the burning bush spoke with the voice of God to Moses to take these commandments to his people. And that's the short and skinny of it. So there was some weird shit going on, a lot of miracles, like in the story of Hanukkah. Why we light the 8 candles is because the Maccabees, which were a Jewish family, were stuck in the temple in Jerusalem and were under siege, and they only had enough oil in the lamps to last for a few days, but it lasted for 8.
Right.
So one of the, that's why we do Hanukkah and the
traditional, right?
Mm-hmm. And obviously like things like David and Goliath and
giants.
Yep, giants and
Nephilims.
You think Goliath was a giant or just a really big dude, and David was like this little kind of wussy guy with his little slingshot?
That's another possibility. That's another possibility, but they consider that the Goliath was from. Wasn't it spoken that he came from a tribe or a colony of them? Like they would fight the giants, in other words. Yeah. But don't you find it interesting? This is what always used to blow me away, man. Because some people live and die by this stuff. All right, like it's everything. If you say something to them, they're throwing holy water on your car and whatever. But Jesus was the King of the Jews, and he told everybody he was the Son of God. But the Jews are like, "No, you're not. You're a prophet. Yeah. Stop lying, Jesus. Stop lying.
Trying to get popular.
Stop lying." Exactly. So the King of the Jews didn't even believe he was the Son of God, but the Christians did. It's so crazy to me. And then, we know the story of the burning bush and all that stuff. We know about all that stuff. So it's so crazy to me that, then they made up this other part and this part, and then the Jews like, no, we don't like that. That's not part of our thing. And then all these different mixes come in. Now there's like 17 or 18 different, religions that are like Christianity. And I shouldn't say that, like denominations.
Yeah, Christianity and and Catholicism, and
then you read about Scientology, right?
Scientology is a whole
and Mormonism, which is heavily led by men. Heavily,
I would say 100% led by men.
So women don't really have a lot. They'll think they do, but they don't have a lot to say in that religion. I'm sorry, they don't. It's real simple. You can really look at it. I mean, you look into Mormonism too, man, where they're like they have a planet that's a guy with like hundreds of naked women running around waiting on him and stuff. I mean, to me, that's if I had to join a religion, I'd be like, listen, let me get right in there. Let me get right in there. But so think about that. I wouldn't be like that, but but they get brainwashed. Now, and the reason I bring that up is I was looking into the Elvis Presley, his lineage, his daughter dying, why her son committed suicide, and he blamed that a lot of it on Scientology.
Oh, I've had a lot of friends who signed.
And now they twisted his brain. He
wrecked. Absolutely wrecked. They get into your head, and it's if you say it isn't a cult, you're in it, pretty much.
So there's a lot of that in there. So that's why when I talk about paranormal, or we're talking about, everybody finds it so really weird that we do that. it's not too far from what you do every day when you go to church, anyways. Yes, the Jehovah's Witnesses too. They're another thing, another out there thing, and it's just to me like
a bunch of Jehovah's Witnesses. I'll get rid of them. They'll never come back. Bare ass naked, just dangling. Y'all want to?
Well, you never know. Dude.
Oh, fuck.
You never know. They won't go out to Jimmy's place.
Or they might come back.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. I didn't think about that.
They'd be like, that guy's got a soul patch.
Yeah. Flavor.
Yeah. So I mean, so anyways, when we get to supernatural, we're gonna, when we do those types of investigations, like Ma Barker house, when we did that, and we went there with an open mind because there was a lot of tragedy there, and there was a lot of stuff there, man. There was just a lot of energy in that house, and so it was one of the neatest places we went. That reminds me, there's a place I want to go, Jeff. Jeff and I went one year. We rode the Harleys out. We went to Green Swamp.
Yep.
But there was a cabin out there in Green Swamp where the axe murders, the famous axe murders. And you can climb and hike up into there. I said climb, you ain't climbing anywhere in Florida, but you can hike up into the woods. And you can get to this cabin, and there's a lot of the stuff that was in there just left. It's still there. There's a plaque. I'm sure the wardens go out there and check on it, but I'd really like to sit out there at night and really see or even during the day. There's a lot of stuff that happens during the day, folks, and it's not always at night. It's more enhanced at night because it just seems like the world's a little more quiet. There's less energy going on, so it's easier for you to pick up stuff. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
When you're in a crowded, high-end place, if even it was at nighttime, you're not going to see a lot of that. But I think really nights things are different because your senses are more open. There's not a lot of energy. It's a little more quiet. And let's not lie, it's more spooky that way.
Yeah, really the nighttime stuff started because of TV. Honestly, investigators do day and night. It just depends on the if you're doing a building, if they're open during the day, you're not allowed. So you have to come after hours. So it just depends.
Sure.
Yeah,
sure.
Most stuff, if it's really haunted, it's going to be there whenever, day or night. There's a plantation in California, in Georgia, where the widow of the sailor who died, you can still see her on the widow's walk, pacing for her husband, same time of day, 4:00 every day. People still see her.
I think people who are open to it. People are open to it.
People are open to it.
And if you don't believe in it, that's okay too, man.
4:00 in the middle of the day, that was because that was the hour in which she, they believe repeatedly, she went out at that hour every day hoping he was going to return. And he never did. So it was a residual, basically, of an energy imprint. So they see her there, just mourning, hoping he's going to come back. So like Troy said, it doesn't have to be nighttime. It can happen anytime.
It's scary at nighttime.
So I think we really need to do that, Brittany. I think we need to grab Jimmy and Jeff one time, get a day, and we go out there and we get to I want to go up into the Green Swamp and look into that place. I'd like to go there and do it.
Where's that at?
Green Swamp's probably, it's in between you and me, Jimmy.
Yeah. It's
I would say I've heard of it.
Closer to
it's the Sasquatch area too.
North of Lakeland, like northwest of Lakeland.
In the middle, though. In the middle. Like when I came back from St. Augustine, I took Kurt through there. We took the Challenger through there at Mach 10 in the middle of the night. It was awesome. There was nobody there, Jeff.
Those poor snakes and frogs.
Allegedly, we're out there doing 147 miles an hour.
Allegedly.
Trying to go back in time. Kurt's like, God damn, this thing's on. We had a good time. What's that?
You can literally open all your senses up, even during the day, by
with LSD.
No. By closing yourself off with. No.
I'm kidding, folks.
I've learned so much about LSD lately. No. When you basically, you can get like a blindfold or whatever, but it'll cover your eyes so it's complete dark out, and then you put the sound muffle headphones on. So you literally are now opening up all your senses, and then you just start talking out loud and either have a recorder going and have documenting what you're picking up, sensing, feeling, hearing, what you think is around you. And that's, that's how you do it. You just close yourself off, and then all of a sudden your other senses kick in.
Yep, you do need that. Some people need to do that. I think that I'd like to go out there.
I just meant during the day.
Like that. If we can do it at night, it'd be 10 times more fun. But we'll do it during the day too. And,
drive through Green Swamp at night, do some herping. It's been way too long since I've been out and looking for snakes.
There's not a lot of herps out there, dude. That exciting. I mean, you might see a moccasin or something, but I want to see like crocodiles and goddamn jaguars and shit. And there's no place I can do that for me here. So.
Oh, so we need to go to Belize. Yeah.
I mean, people forget that. Me and Jimmy, we're from South Florida, bro. We grew up in Herp National. You know, you want a herpy. That's where you go out and you go herpy.
MP.
Marissa's
You can find whatever you want out there.
Marissa's got some incredible haunted locations that we talked about that are in the middle of the jungle.
I want to go there too. In
Yeah.
Belize?
Welcome to
Yeah.
the
Yep. In Belize, we've talked about them.
Well, it sounds like we might have to do that.
Yeah, we've talked about really, really cool stuff. Really, really, really cool
But there's
stuff.
some really cool stuff in the States too I'd like to get around to.
Oh,
And
yeah.
really get in and use the expertise that I have in it and you have in it and,
Yeah.
and really all of us do our thing and really figure it out. I love it because I like
I-
everybody's views.
I hate the stuff that they overuse. And Troy, you and I've talked about this 100 times. I hate the penitentiaries they overuse. You understand that the more you overuse an area, you drain the actual energy out of that place. And those spirits are no longer going to be around. I'm sorry. I don't care what anybody tells you. I don't care what little magic box you think you bring in and you're going to be talking to somebody that's not there. I'm sorry. You can't do that. You're draining the energy, constantly overly investigating and abusing the locations to the point where those spirits will eventually completely retract. They won't even come to that dimension anymore. They won't come there. It's gone. It will not be there. And I like going to places that are off the beaten track, people hardly hear of, maybe locals know
Like
about.
where we went, Jimmy.
Like where I took you guys, because the spirits are more still open and they're curious and they're still more engaged in the area, and that's off beaten track. So you have maybe just a couple of people that know about it and they go there. But outside of that, it's still fresh. It's like, I hate to put it in this term, but it's a fresh kill. You don't want to go up on a body when it's just bones. You want to go up on
I mean, I do. I might want the skull.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
Well, yeah. But you want to go up on a carcass when it's a fresh kill so you can see what it was.
So what about the Sally house?
Sally house. Seth, honey, you're going to have to remind me on the Sally house.
I believe so, Craig. I believe so. Yeah, Seth. Tell us about that a little bit. Not sure if I'm familiar with the Sally house.
Yeah,
It's in Kansas, Atchison, Kansas.
Okay.
Is one of the most haunted houses in Kansas. Enjoy self-guided tours. Why though? The Sally House. It was built in the mid 1800s. It is said to be haunted by the ghost of a young girl who died in the house while undergoing surgery for appendicitis. The story gained national attention after it was featured on several paranormal television shows. You can stay there overnight. It's $125 a person.
And I got to tell you, man, but let's be honest. All of us here have watched paranormal shows, and most of them fucking suck.
Oh, they're terrible, dude.
They don't even. It's all made up for. It's horrible. Like I just, you know, you have to be
I
like.
can tell you, in-house, they manipulate the crap out of stories that are not
Nice. That's cool, Jimmy.
And they always seem like they're running for something important or running from something. Like again, right before the commercial, so you have to tune back in and see what they're running from. And
there are so many like legit amazing locations that the story alone will leave you like, I'm not going to bed tonight. Like that just did that for me.
Well,
and then but then actually being in the house alone or the location alone, it literally messes with you. It messes you up because you start hearing things and then you start seeing things that are not there. And I don't know why they have to make crap up and then have everybody use what I hate with a passion, which is the LS camera. I can't stand that.
I know you know. I've heard you mention that before.
Because it's fake. I'm sorry. It doesn't work. It is from an Xbox. It is trying to make an avatar out of everything in the room, even in the dark. So I mean, I've only seen one paranormal investigative team that was live, and I clapped for them. And I actually messaged them privately and thanked them for using it correctly, because they kept getting figures everywhere. And they're like, if you're a real figure, will you wave to me? They never waved. Not once. Because it was picking up their reflection on headstones. It was picking up different logs and placements, trying to make avatars. But it looks amazing on TV. Because you'll see somebody standing there. It's like, oh my God, what is that little thing on you? I don't know. It's crawling up me. It's a little stick figure. It's like 2 feet tall, but it's climbing up my shoulder. It's got to be real. No, it's not. It doesn't know with the shadows what it's looking at. Because it has like a whole wide range of like, what is it, 15 by 15 foot range of these little tiny lasers that you can't see that are trying to identify things in the room and make shapes out of things that aren't there. But everybody's like, it's crawling on the ceiling. Oh my God, it's crawling on your back. It's gone. Now it's on your face. It's like,
did I show you? Oh, here we go.
Stop.
So I said the basement is said to have had a pentagram in the basement that apparently is a portal to demons who travel. The demons are supposed to take form of Sally, and she is said to do burnings and scratches on people. Well, go get some tattoos.
Right? I have a Sally mark right here.
That's right.
So I was going to ask you, Brittany, one of the things that made my skin crawl the other night, I'm not sure if I sent it to you. I'm going to send it to you both. I'm going to send it to your everybody's Instagram page.
There's a book to read if anybody's interested. It's really
so
good.
You can look at it right now. Let's see, Jimmy and Brittany.
Great.
It says we're in the middle of nowhere and we borrowed cabinets that's coming from the woods. And then they talk about how skinwalkers use voices to scare you. Listen to that shit and tell me this is the goddamn pills.
You said
Oh my God.
Yeah.
What the fuck?
So let me ask you a question. So if that really is truth, if there's truth to skinwalkers, that's insane. If it's somebody really in the woods, you're going to be the next victim. Or it's a trap. Someone's trying to get you to run out there to do something to you.
Yep.
So all three of those things are terrifying.
All those things are enough to pack up and go home.
But that's a true thing about the skinwalkers being able to do that.
Yeah, they mimic. They do mimicking to drag you in, pull you in.
Skinwalkers intrigue me. Because that's like a high that your endorphins, your brain, you're like, what did I just hear or see? And that to me, what do you think about it, Jeff? Wild, wasn't it?
Yeah, about the voices? Yeah, absolutely.
That thing I just sent you, the way it was done, that's like eerie as hell, man.
I didn't watch it on my phone, but I listened to it on yours. Have you seen the Hulu documentary, the Skinwalker Ranch one?
Yes.
Really good.
Weird, isn't it?
Yeah.
There's some stuff you just can't explain.
Yeah, that place seems to be like the hot spot for all paranormal and UFO activity in the world. It just it must be some kind of special place in a way.
I'm going to see if the audience can hear it.
Oh, that you put up to your mic. You can hear it. Okay, we hear it. Now listen to this. So you're in the middle of a hunting cabin. You hear that in the woods in the middle of the night. I'm going to be a skinwalker because my skin's going to come off. I mean, that's weird to me. Now there's another theory. I'm not saying that I believe this. I'm just telling you. I'm just going to put it out there. Sasquatch are known to trap and collect women.
Yep.
I don't know what they're doing to them. Give them the long dong or something.
Give them the
They've done that.
watchdock. Yeah.
But there's a lot where they talk about, get the gun. That's true, Seth. But they talk about, they kidnap women and they take them. And there was a really good Bigfoot movie, and it was done by Bobcat Goldsmith. You remember that, or Goldsworth, whatever his name is?
Yeah.
He did a really good fucking job. Do you remember in the end where the Squatch was dragging people by their legs? It's like this camera, and he's like pulling around all these naked ladies. In the end, he's just dragging them. They're his.
Yep.
That's pretty weird. And why is it that most of your major things like that documentary, the 411, where all those people just disappear and always in a national park?
Yeah, Dave Letty's. Yeah, that's his whole book series is on that.
The 411.
Yep.
You ever see that stuff?
Nope.
Jeff? You have to watch that documentary, bro. It'll freak you out. It's all real. And these people just vanish. Kids, adults, guys, me and you and Jimmy out hunting. We're only 50 foot apart. We're walking through the forest. One of us never come back. We're just gone like that. Everything gone.
There's a case that happened in Pilates.
I'm not going to the parks anymore.
It happens a lot. It happens a lot.
Nope.
Willow Creek too. Willow Creek was a good one, Seth. That wasn't Bobcats. I don't think it was anyway.
No, it's called the Legends of Something Creek.
There's a new one that just came out. I just watched. I'm trying to find the name of it, but it was the same concept. It was Bigfoot, and he chased the women. He kidnapped the woman, and the husband joined these group of, I'm going to use the term rednecks because they were all hunting in the woods, and that's exactly what they were. But they didn't have the best intentions, and Bigfoot hunted everybody down, and it was a crazy.
Seth, it was called Willow Creek. I'm sorry, you're correct.
Was that Gold's?
Bobcat Golds was Willow Creek. That was the one I was talking about.
Yep. Okay.
Yes, Seth, it was called Willow Creek. You're correct.
Like, oh my God, what is the name of this fucking movie.
Well, there's
a
documented case that Pilates had where it was a couple. They were hiking in Yellowstone National Park, and all of a sudden they heard a scream, and the husband said, "Oh, I think that's a deer dying." And they stopped because he was a hunter. They stopped, and to the right, this bipedal, large, hairy-looking creature came half out of the forest running, and they said if they didn't know any better, he had probably like a teenager. It looked like to be the shape of a size of a teenager draped over his right side of his shoulder, and he was hauling butt past them back into the woods. And they said he had a blue t-shirt on and some runner shorts, and that's all they saw. And
he had a blue t-shirt on and some running shorts, you said?
The whatever it was that
I thought you meant the Sasquatch. I didn't know they put on clothes.
No, whatever. They said it had clothes on because they were like, was it a deer? And they're like, no, it had clothes on. Like it physically had clothes on. So they notified the local sheriff's department, police department. They were doing heavy investigations in the Yellowstone Park in regards to that case for a long time. Nothing ever turned up, but the two eyewitnesses were like, we know what we saw and we know what we heard prior. So it was believed that it was like a regular hiker, jogger out in Yellowstone who was alone and vulnerable and got taken.
in the title, it didn't say Bigfoot in this movie. It said something else.
The Wild Man?
The what?
The Wild Man? That's a 2022 Bigfoot movie that's new.
Nope, that's not it. Nope. Bro, it was actually this Bigfoot, he hunted. I mean, they upped it, but it hunt with like a bow and arrow and shit like that.
Craig, I'll look into that.
You know, that there's not too much you could do with it with a teenage girl. She's got two choices: dinner or Mrs. Squatch. That's pretty much it. I don't think there's a third category.
Oh my God. You are so ridiculous.
Brittany, have you heard of the people in the Carolinas that have gone feral? They were prisoners, I believe, and
yeah, I just told them I didn't know about that. I'm gonna look that up.
Jake said, "Let someone call me to the National Force with that story."
Oh,
I know who I'm calling. I would call Jake if we had something like that. I'd be like, "Come on, Jake."
So this movie is called Primal Rage.
Oh, I have that on DVD.
Primal Rage used to be a video game from Sega.
Yep.
Do you remember that, Jeff?
I do.
Sega video game, Primal Rage. Come here.
Jimmy, that I kid you not was in the $5 bin at Walmart. And I picked it up because it had Bigfoot on the front of it. Yeah, it had Bigfoot on the front of it. So I was like.
So what you explained, I mean, he did hunt with bow and arrow, but he did he targeted the woman and kidnapped the woman and brought her back to his cave. And things happened that, you know, people probably use their imagination. And it's a fucking nutty movie and gruesome. Very gruesome movie.
It's still in its wrapper. I've never
really?
watched it. Yeah, so
you need to watch it.
Is it a
very well done?
Is it a documentary or is it like a?
No, it's not a documentary. It's a horror film. It's
gotcha.
Yeah.
There's several Bigfoot films out there that they did that were pretty decent. I mean, even the Russian case with the Yeti, you know, they've had so many people try to disprove that it was a Yeti, but I know Josh Gates did a really good job on it, you know, and they
I enjoy Josh Gates' show. I do enjoy his show.
Yeah, I mean, he did. You know, I go back and forth with Josh a lot because Josh just likes to say that he case solves something sometimes, and he doesn't always have the correct answers. And I know that because he tried to case solve 2 cases that I've worked on, and he's a little incorrect, and that's okay, because he was getting wrong information from wrong people. And in some of those cases, he wasn't even at the correct site. But,
now, was that the second show he came out with? I like Expedition Unknown that he did.
Yeah, Expedition Unknown. No, Expedition X. Okay. I'm just not because a lot of it is really not accurate. Yeah. But he did a special on the Yeti case in Russia that was either believed to be that, you know, these people came across something they shouldn't have and were murdered, or it was a Yeti. And it was ruled that it wasn't a Yeti, but more.
That was way back in the day, Brittany, right? You're talking about those group of people that went over just mutilated.
Yeah.
They were found left all over the snow and no clothes on.
Yeah.
20s, late 20s.
Yeah, and then they were also talking about they were starving to death and going crazy. And so
Right.
they ended up like hallucinating too. Yes, I know exactly what you're talking about.
Like 2 of them don't have tongues.
Because you'd bite them off, probably going nuts.
One of them had their skull crushed in. One of them had like lacerations that looked like a bear attack across their back. That's why
Could
they
have very
thought
well
it
been.
was a bear. But
Postmortem, too.
it was the photograph, one of the photographs that they had that showed it looked like a Yeti. So that's the only remaining thing that still leaves that case really jeopardized and open in a sense.
Who wants
So
to go
for
to
me,
Siberia to look for that shit?
yeah, I
Cold.
mean, for me, because of the history in Russia of knowing about the Yetis in Russia and the people that have lived with them in the Himalayas, I still very much am on the side that I think these kids were really sane. And I don't know how they would have gotten that insane in literally 8 hours. So I have there's some pieces in there that don't make sense to me. And you guys can read about it. It's really weird. It's one of the weirdest cases from Russia in our history. So for me, I still feel that they're trying to cover up the Yeti and put every other explanation possible out there, just like they do with the science of our mind when we die, that we're not actually seeing loved ones. It's just this endorphin that goes off in our head. I think it's BS. And if you talk to anybody that works in a hospice, they'll tell you otherwise. And I just think sometimes people try to put their stamper because they fear what they can't explain, and they'd rather just push it away that this is just normal stuff. It couldn't possibly be something mythological, but in fact, it may have been. And it's not that Yeti's mythological. It's been around forever. It's just an animal, people. It's literally just an animal.
All right, so I sent all 3 of you a group of photos. I haven't sent them to Brittany yet. I was going to send them to Brittany, but so y'all know I have a one wheel, and I went off about 4.5 miles, and I have the proof because when you have a one wheel, you have an app that tracks you via satellite, right? We went and we did the power lines. So I rode those old trails about 4 or 5 miles back into the forest, and underneath them, there were some gigantic prints. Now, could they be a bear stepping over in each other? But I found some big fucking prints out there.
Yeah, that looks like a human footprint to me.
It does, doesn't it? Except I was looking at the toes.
Wow.
There's only 4 toes on it. But I found that Cody and I caught up with me, and he started stepping on them. And I'm like, wait. But we could step on this ground here and not sink like that.
Oh, yeah.
So it could have been a bear going through. I tried to circle some of them. I didn't have anything to do, but I just took pictures. But they were huge footprints, dude.
Look at
Like they were big. I wish you could see them. And Brittany will tell you, I am not a Sasquatch fanatic. She'll tell you that. I'm not going to sit here and tell you that they're not real, but I'm not going to be like, oh yeah, I believe.
Bless you.
So when I find something like that, that's like a giant foot like that with deep toes,
Wow.
really makes me wonder. Those were out there under the power lines. So how many people are walking around barefoot under power lines 4 miles into the woods?
Yeah. Was that frost on the ground?
No, that's just old moss and whatever sand and
Thank you.
You're welcome.
But I didn't know if it was a like maybe a bear stepped on it and then their heel. Sometimes they cross their paths over and dig in. Was he an older bear? I'm always thinking about that. Was his nails rubbed down or whatever? But that one print was probably, I would say, if it was a bear and he stepped in the back, his back foot blended up with the front and made it 18 inches. That footprint's about 18 inches long.
18 is common. 16 to 19 is a common Sasquatch footprint. I learned
Well,
that.
I put my foot up next to it, and I wear like 12 or 13, depending on what shoe it is, and it was like way longer than my shoe. And so I thought, wow, it could be a big black bear, because they walk kind of crooked. And then if he did have some nails or he was running, I'm thinking of logical. So, and I just sent him to Brittany. I told my mom about it. I said, I'm going to send him to Brittany. Oh, she's sleeping. And this was a while ago when I got these, and I just thought I'd send them to you guys.
I remember when you were out boarding because you're in a Sasquatch known area, Skunk Ape area.
Well, I didn't know that. I just was out riding around the Flatwoods Trail, and then you can take and just head off into the couple thousand acres of whatever that the mountain bikers do it sometimes, but they go into the woods and start these little trails and stuff.
It's really funny.
I just rode the trails and I looked under each one. I even found a quarter. I found this old black quarter. I was looking for all kinds of stuff out there.
You can talk.
Then I got scared and went back.
In the Sasquatch community, and they all have their own, takes or opinions or thoughts and theories or whatever. And it's funny to me. I was talking to Jeff Meldrum, who's, if you look him up, Professor Jeff Meldrum, this is what he does. He's my mentor. I love him to pieces. But we were talking about, and he said over the years, he's come to learn that just like us, Sasquatch have their own tree. So there's branches, and those trees and those lineages and where they need to live and why is a big factor as to why and where they live in different states. In some regions, they're just not living at all. And they found that around areas with higher bear communities, you would find a lot of activity with Sasquatch. And they were doing more theory work into that and more research science work into that because they were trying to find why. So it's really interesting why they kind of migrate in the same environmental pattern and places that our bears would. But it is really fascinating. And in Florida, we have our black bear, who's pretty decent sized. And if you notice in the areas that we have a lot of black bear, we do have a lot of Sasquatch. Now that can be completely ripped into two different types of theories, that people are actually just seeing bears. It's not Sasquatch at all. And that's why you're combining those two together. And that's why you're saying, well, you see a black bear, then it's a Bigfoot, because that's why they're always in the same area. However, the science is also pointing that the way that they work, the way that they hunt is much like a bear. So if the bears are finding food sources here and places to sleep and good ways to live, then they're going to follow the suit of the bear because the bear is kind of leading that for them. So there's two vantage points with that. But there are heavy areas in Florida that have high bear populations and high amounts of Sasquatch sighting and documented on footage, and you can see it's not a bear. So it's
Ocala National Forest is one of those. Ocala National Forest has a huge bear population. Yep.
Huge bear population.
And here's something that's really interesting.
Since the 60s, a huge Sasquatch community. Huge.
I have seen bears in the wild. I have.
Yeah.
But people don't see a lot of bears in the wild. You have to be in certain. I mean,
yeah.
In one.
There's a lot of documents, right? So it's even rare to see a bear. It's even rarer to find a bear dead in the woods.
Yeah, they're pretty much top of the food chain there.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
I heard in Colorado that grizzlies live there. Have you heard that or seen that? I've heard that too, that our grizzly bears up in Colorado. Of course they could live there. Why would they not?
I think the bear that we saw across from our house, Troy, that day before church was absolutely a grizzly.
Well, when we lived in Colorado, they did say there were brown bear. Brown bear is grizzly. So when you hear brown bear, it's grizzly. We had cinnamon bears, black bear, and brown bear. Brown bears are massive, dude. Massive.
I will never forget. Mom was like, hey, making all this noise from the van. And that thing stopped. And mom looked at me and looked at him where she was like, we've got to get in the van like now. Because he didn't come after us. He was over by the Petersons, Troy, across the street. And that thing stopped and put its freaking feet up on the rock. And when it did, the amount of blubber that rumbled under its neck, you could see.
You sure it was blubber or was it like hair and muscle? I mean,
No, but you know what I mean? Like you could see it.
I mean, you're insulting him. I hope he's not watching.
You know what I mean? It was the bear neck jiggle, and it like swiveled. And I just remember thinking to myself, that is the coolest thing I've ever seen in my whole life. Because it was just so big and you're so small to this giant bear. And mom's like, I shouldn't have made any noise. And then all of a sudden he just looks at us for a little bit like, you crazy dumb woman. Why would you make sounds? I mean, I was just going about my way. And literally his face looked like, what are you doing? And then just keeps walking off. It was great.
I lived over in the Apopka area, and I was I lived off Adams Ridge, which was right by Rock Springs National Park. And I was in the street out where the car was parked, talking to my mom, and a bear. The coolest thing happened, man. Like this bear walks up to us and look at it. There's this fucking cat rubbing on his legs. He's just walking in between them. The bear doesn't even give a fuck. The cat's just going between his legs and shit. And I remember I picked up my mom and we got into the house and, we got the bear up. But that bear walked up to us. Like I turned around because my mom's like, is that a dog? And she's looking, I turned around. It was a fucking bear. I'm like, holy shit. He just walked right up on us like nobody's business. And I just happened to look down at this cat. He's just going, he's walking along with the bear like they're the best of friends. It was the weirdest thing. So anyways, that's just a neat story that I remember. And, you just don't see him that often. It's just not it's not a thing. And Craig said he wants a Kodiak, but Kodiaks are big bear too. But, I remember a story where someone shot a grizzly polar bear hybrid. That happened in real life.
Yes, it did.
They crossbred themselves in real life. They met somewhere near the tundra or whatever.
And he
shot and killed it because he was hunting bear or whatever. And it was, I found this weird bear. It's kind of brown. It's a beige color. And they turned out when they did the DNA, it was a polar bear, grizzly, or Kodiak hybrid.
That's not a surprise. You know, if they mix range at all, they're bound to do it. I mean, they have the same genetics, and snakes do it all the time. If you go to edges of snake range, you're going to find stuff that's edge to the range the other way that's mixed up.
And there's a lot of people, they get real serious about, I don't like that crossing over stuff. It's terrible. Biology, they get weird. I'm like, that'll happen in the wild. That happens, dude.
It's just cool because it happened naturally. And how many more are there? You know, I mean, that's the cool part about it. Nature found its way, as Jeff Goldblum says.
That's what I was asking Marissa. I thought I was asking Marissa, like, you know, we know the American crocs hybridize with the Morleti over there, right?
Yeah.
How long before there isn't any more species of them anymore, and they're just one species now? We'll call them the Amarettis, dude.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, when does it become wild? There isn't any more. You know, she's doing the biology on them. So when does it become wild? That's not that species is. And Americans, they swim to Cuba, and they interbreed with the Cuban crocodile. So you've got Acutus rhombifer hybrids naturally in Cuba.
Oh, I got one for you guys.
So you know, we're off supernatural stuff there. So Bigfoot,
I'm bringing it back.
And pound them out.
I'm bringing it back. We have the alien cats, right? That they're literally known as the alien cats of the UK because there has been spotted since, I don't know, the last 20 years. These black panthers seen in the middle of the northern regions of the UK. Okay. They're not known animals that do the UK.
Sure.
Okay. Just recently in Louisiana.
Oh, I saw the picture.
And in Texas now, people are documenting black panthers.
I think somebody lost a black leopard and didn't report it.
How do you have it in Texas, Louisiana, and Kansas?
Because, Brittany, you know how many people have that shit in captivity and you don't have to know about it?
So all these people are just, for the heck of it, releasing all their black panthers at the
same time? Not
releasing
them. I'm just saying that, you know, it can be seen. But then somebody sees something at dusk against the sunlight and it's a black panther.
No. They have pictures of it. And what they're saying is back in the day, the black puma actually existed. Like the black mountain lion did exist in our out west. So they're saying it's possible that they have just lived in such tiny.
They would be called, of course, they would be called a melanistic cat. I mean,
yeah, exactly.
Right, they haven't been, I'm just trying to say, they have not been seen in years and years and years, and now they're seeing them, which means that the breed, whatever was remaining, has survived and has thrived. And is now back again, and they thought it shouldn't be here, and it shouldn't exist. But now we're getting documentation of it again. So the United States is getting their own Black Panther back again, in a sense. And it's really fascinating and really cool.
You know, it's funny.
Yeah.
Before I moved to Texas, I thought panthers were black. And then
but like Michael said, jaguars live in parts of Texas and Arizona. They do. He's right.
Yep, they're right.
Even like the black ones or the just normal old.
No jaguars. But listen, I've seen a lot of jaguars that are like really. Some of them are like they got hints of gold in them or whatever. But then you've seen some. I don't know if there's any such thing as a black mountain lion. I've never seen one or heard of it. I have seen black panthers, black jaguars. Yes. I have seen them.
Yes.
Oh yeah, well
I remember seeing them at Lewis's.
But in areas like this, it was showing, and even like they found one of the wolves that had migrated down from Canada into Oregon and upstate Washington. They were so shocked because these are animals doing things that they shouldn't be doing, or migrating where they shouldn't be migrating. Or
I think a lot of that happened during COVID.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
That's what I think. A lot of things started spreading around because all over the world, wildlife was moving very abundantly.
Yeah, we didn't have a lot of human influence.
You throwing me some hints, Jimmy?
Really? What's that?
You disappeared. You throwing me a hint?
No, I was seeing what that did. I've never pushed that button before.
The one that says "Leave Studio." Oh.
No, not that one. I know. Watch it. I'll show you what that one does. No, I'm kidding.
Anyway, I just thought it was really cool because
that is neat.
I just always love when scientists are like, "Oh, that animal no longer exists. It's not possible for it to exist, and it never will exist ever again." Then all of a sudden, like literally after they make that statement, 2 weeks later, it's like, so great news. We found that animal. It exists. Who knew? We didn't say that 2 weeks ago. So I always love when they're wrong. I know it's horrible.
Must have been Forrest Gallant.
Listen, that guy.
Or Coyote. Coyote, man, that guy too. He's another.
Yeah, when he faked
shit.
when Coyote found the fake skull, the gorilla skull in the river.
Oh yeah.
Tell you what.
Watch. Listen, that's
Bigfoot community
sensationalism.
winning
And
a
I found
folklore.
something. I found something I sent to my mom. It was a real interview podcast with Marty Stauffer. And I have the link that I sent her. I'll send it to all of you. What he
Yeah,
talks
Greg,
some
you're
shit
right.
about Hollywood, dude. He's like, these stupid motherfuckers. These dumb, he goes, is that clear enough for you? These dumb, I'm like, I'm listening to Marty Stauffer. And I remember Marty Stauffer as Welcome to Wild America, all happy. And,
Oh, yeah.
you know, like, you know, remember that, Jeff? And it was PBS. And then the Rams would slam heads and then the bird would fly off.
Oh,
and he's
yeah.
like, oh, Marty Stauffer. And he had that Tool Time Taylor button up red shirt on. He looked like Al from Tool Time. But he was hating on them. And I think once those guys make it big, you know, because Coyote Peterson just ran around letting shit bite him. I mean, and that's how he got famous. Cool. You know, I wouldn't let a big alligator snapper bite me. Not on purpose, anyways. And so when they do that, I think they get forced into that. They start to have to, I mean, you know, now they're making a living and they're, you know, it's like a lot of these guys that do that stuff.
You got to keep
that even happens on YouTube. They get ridiculous in some of the stuff they do because, you know, whether it's animal or paranormal, and they start doing things that I think they think makes them look cool or gives them more, but it's you're burning out too fast.
Honestly, I have been so disgusted by the paranormal community since Lisa Marie's passing.
I know you told me because of all the people using it. Yep.
Yeah,
So.
the amount of investigators and so-called mediums.
Because it's sensationalism, and that's what people want.
Oh, I get
That's
it.
why I like being a little more authentic.
As a true paranormal investigator who took passion into my work and worked my ass off to get where I am for my professionalism, to be in a field with such idiots that are out. And I can say that because this is just it's disgusting and degrading and demeaning to the field and to those of us that take our job in this field very serious, to literally make it about a political thing with Lisa Marie. Having her tell you from the other side she died of COVID. I am so over you and sick of you. I don't even want your name popped up.
Why would they even think that'd be okay to say?
It's horrible, Troy. And they were using their so-called
freedom of media
boxes. And then you got mediums saying, oh, my session was interrupted because Elvis was preparing me that his daughter was coming home. And then Lisa was telling me that she was with him. And it's just so amazing. Listen. Do you understand that her daughters are in mourning? You don't think that they're not laying at home saying, Mom, talk to me, visit me tonight. I miss you. I love you. You don't think when a video pops up like that, they don't go, why is my mother talking to some random ass stranger, but not me? So you're using the fame of somebody who's a person. These people are still people when they die and they have families and loved ones who cared about them. And it didn't have to be Lisa. It could be anybody. I don't give a shit who it is. It's just so demeaning.
But I think it's cool when I go in there and watch them use some of those boxes and they talk to like Betty White and stuff. I get a kick out of it.
Oh,
she's like, oh, it's not nice over here like I thought. I'm
not
suffering. It's horrible. He's like, you're suffering, Betty. And she's like, it's horrible here. William Shatner's coming soon. That kind of shit. I get a kick out of it. It makes me laugh.
I don't like it because
I know
I'm in the field.
But you know what?
It's just disgraceful.
Let it go.
Disgraceful.
Don't lose sleep over it because people are going to do that. And you know what's good about it? That means we can do ridiculous stuff too, and people can't do it. Let them have it.
Listen, I don't. It's just that I made a vow now moving forward that I will continue to make address of this, that the level of professionalism in the field on paranormal and in ufology need to level up. We need to be adults and we need to level up. So I've made it a goal now, and anybody that brings me on, it's a point I just feel needs to be made.
But you have to understand that a lot of the population looks at, I don't know about ufology, I don't study it as much as you do, but they look at paranormal as a joke. Now, granted, there's more people into it.
Yeah.
There's more people into it. I've watched some episodes with Joe Rogan talk about it, and so he's had people on. He's like, listen, he did a couple episodes with Bigfoot and shit, and I really watched some of the stuff he talked about. And, it's coming around more, but people used to think that was, come on now. Come on, you're smoking too much crack, but it's really fun.
Yeah, it's taboo. I mean, when I have to do investigative work on groundwork and I have to call buildings or locations and talk about events to find out, it's the strangest conversation to have when you call a location. You're like, so I just have a really random question for you. So like 2 nights ago, I got a report that in your area, let's say in my ufology field, odd lights were seen above your building. Are you aware of this? Can you give me some, insight or whatever? And they're always like, oh yeah, let me tell you about some stuff. It's the weirdest conversation. But then all of a sudden these people are like, either they'll say, I didn't see anything, but can you let me know what's going on? I do find it really interesting. Or they'll be like, oh yeah, I saw something too. Can I tell you what I saw? So it's a really fine line, but it's really such an odd conversation to start because it's so taboo. It's still taboo in a sense. And you don't want to be the weird person calling for groundwork, but you have to sometimes on investigations because you got to get the work done. And it's hard. Or even going up to somebody and be like, I know that this is going to come off really weird, but have you anyone come in here telling you that, your hotel's haunted? Staying in, room 316 like I did at Lakeside?
Yeah, and I agree with that. In a lot of places, it's just overdone. It's too touristy, and there's too many fucking, trolleys and everything. It ruins it, and so it kind of cheapens it.
Yeah.
It cheapens the experience. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
I don't even know how to explain it to you. It just cheapens it. Like,
I think
it's like having to buy a Honda when all you ever wanted was a Harley.
Yeah, that's true. You and I have talked about this before. I think the paranormal, when you go in to investigate it, and I don't mean it like in a spiritual way, but I think it's an enlightenment and it's a level up for you. I think that you need to go in a quiet, open mind setting. If you would like a device, whether it's an EMF reader or an electric reader, whatever the case is, or a REM pod, I'm fine with that. Just to validate whatever you think you may be feeling or seeing. If the light goes off, it really just brings validation to that person who maybe can't see or sense the way we do. But I think if people made it a little bit more not so like go on a historical tour, but when it comes to the paranormal itself, I think it's cooler not to tell people the names of the people who may or may have died there, or not too much of the history. I think if those people really want a true paranormal experience, you take them in there and let them hone in on their own abilities. Let them really try and open up, meditate beforehand, go in, and then we as the investigators with them write down what they're experiencing, and what they say. And then at the end of it, tell them, what's really weird is you didn't know anything about this, but because I took you to a random location, but you actually said their name, you gave their details, whatever the case is, because then it makes it more personal for them to go, there is something really weird here. And I want people to walk away knowing we don't have all the answers of our universe. And that's why the paranormal field is constantly growing. There's no experts in the field. It's a constantly ever-changing field. You're constantly learning.
Students.
Exactly. All of us are students. We all have our own techniques that we can maybe try on each other or talk to each other, but nobody is an expert. I hate that term in paranormal because if you're an expert, then leave the field. Go find something else to be an expert in because you're tainting it for everybody else. And I love the fact that I learn something new every single day. The Sally House. I didn't know the details of it, and I love it. I love that I learned something new tonight.
Yep, that was neat. That was really cool.
That's the best part about it. And you can't act like you know all the buildings. Then I know all the. Good for you. Are you an encyclopedia? No. Just be open to it and enjoy it and really take it in. I don't want to know about it because when I go in, I want to learn. Let whatever energy is in there tell me about the building.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
What I need to do is.
I think guests need to feel the same thing. So that's where the tours go wrong. You need to let them really sense it out.
Yeah, because when you take a bunch of morons in there that are drunk, I've been to places. The night that Jimmy and me and Brittany were working, they were bringing these tours in there. People were fucking it all up.
Oh, yeah.
Turning the lights on, and they're like, booga, booga, booga. And it's like, listen,
loud.
You're going to be a fucking ghost here in a week. Fucking get the fuck out of here. You know what I mean? We'll come look at you, ooga booga.
Fucking loud and obnoxious, and they ruin the environment.
I saw an amazing video, and I'll end on this. Has nothing to do with ghosts. There was this cocky, fucking yuppie, tool bag bastard in a bar fucking with people, right? And every time the waiter walked by, I was like, hey, whatever. Well, there was a MMA fighter in there, and he was walking through. And he banged into him, and the MMA fighter moves him out of the way. Right? The guy, he caught a lawsuit, but it got dropped. It got dropped. They found this guy was a tool. So he turns around, he goes, excuse me? I got the video. I got it. I'll send it to you. He's like, excuse me, and the guy leans to him, and he fucking fucked that guy up. That guy, when he hit him, he lightning destroyed him. And then the guy's hands were on the ground, and he was like this, laying flat. It was the coolest thing ever to watch this cocky drunk just get knocked. It was beautiful. I love it. And the dude walked about his way, Jeff. He went, wham, like lightning, and then said, motherfucker, and he walked away. It was beautiful. It was, and you see this guy with a dress shirt on. He's like showing off for the ladies. Like I wish the guy. I'm not going to say that. I wish the guy would just got a lot. Maybe he just did never go back there again. Let's put it that way. Like you cocky bastard. And then he tried to sue, and then they found out this guy goes around picking fights all over the bars and trying to sue people.
Yep.
He just got the wrong dude. And I will link up the video. I'll tag it and I'll try to post it like on my Facebook page or something. I'll send it to you because it's funny. Because I like a good old knockout sometimes, man. I don't know about you guys. I've been knocked out before. It's a trip to wake up. You're like, what the fuck? Teeth are all chipped. I mean, I remember the days, but when you just when an asshole gets laid out somewhere, or you're the one that does it, isn't it great, Jeff?
It is.
I love it. I think
is
it's the coolest thing ever.
I always liked it when I was young because when we got in fights, we'd fight. I don't care if we had to bite your ear off or fucking rip your guts out. That's how we fought. But all the guys that would get tough and start to take their shirt off, the minute they pull their shirt over their face, I'd fucking whale them right in the neck and through the. They had so it's like they got this bag around their head. I go, take your shirt off, then, honey. Take it off like they're gonna fight you, and you got it, dude. You got them. And they can't get it off, and you're just destroying them. It's one of the best things ever. Like, why would you take your shirt off? What the fuck is wrong with you?
Fair fight is no win.
Why would you take your shirt off?
Why do they take their shirts off? Because
I have no idea. I see girls ripping each other's hair out. They don't stop and take their shirts off. I mean, that's just the point.
Fucking like, look at me, I'm a beast man. You know, like.
But I remember, dude. That's how you had to do business. Like, I'd wait for any opportunity because a fight is any opportunity. Like, I try not to do that. I don't do that anymore. But if you had to do it, you got to do what you got to do. But why would you take your shirt off?
I have to admit, I do like to see a good brawl every once in a while because then I'm like, there are still men in the world. That's
I like to get involved in them once in a while.
Yeah,
I don't
but
like hurting afterwards. Sometimes I lose, sometimes I win, but But you're
kind of like, you look at a guy and you're like, man, he still knows how to fight. You get him. But I love it, and it's funny because John thought it was really nice and romantic, cute date night, take me to the hockey game. But what he didn't know is I secretly love hockey, not for the actual sport, but for the fights. And so we're sitting there and a fight broke out and I was so into it. And he was like, what is wrong with you? And so we were with his family and they're like, oh, do you enjoy the what do they call it? The polar bears or whatever here in Florida, the solar bears. And John was like, yes, I learned something new about my wife. She doesn't just go to watch the sport. She's sitting there going, why are they putting them in the cage? Why are they putting them down? Let them fight it out. Let them fight it out. And I'm like, yeah, because it's the best part of it.
Out a lot more. Now they put them in the penalty box.
They're like, oh, they got one good hook in and then it's in the penalty. I'm like, the whole point of those guys have like no teeth because that's what they do. They fight all the time. It's so great. Like, it's so awesome.
That's true, Michael. That's good advice, guys. You take that from him because he ain't lying.
Yep.
We're
old wrestlers or
grapplers.
That's right. Michael is right about that.
Fucking knock you silly. Yep. I mean, I still got it. You can't, And then Greg said, you see the Australian guy that walloped like two guys? No, I'll be looking for that too.
Listen.
Oh, I've seen that one, Craig. That one's awesome.
I can say this, and I know I'm going to piss off a lot of women, and I'm sorry. But I don't care. Women shouldn't feel or act like they can take a man. Our bodies cannot take a man in a fight.
Some of them can. There's some big bitches out there, Brittany.
There are.
I've seen some girls beat up these little men, dude. Like, I don't know why little guys always want to date big women. But they get their ass handed to them sometimes.
All I'm going to say is, if you want and are going to act like a man, then you will be treated as such. And that goes as far as hitting. I'm sorry. You can't expect just because you're a woman, you're going to treat a man horrible that he has to just sit there and be like, yes, ma'am. Okay. Yeah, you can beat the shit out of me, but I can't touch you. No.
I've seen it. I worked in bars.
And I'm sure that's going to piss off a lot of people. And I'm sorry. That is my personal opinion. I am a very strong-headed woman. And I know my limitations.
Well, don't pick fights.
I would never disrespect a man.
Well, people shouldn't disrespect
a man disrespect me.
People shouldn't disrespect any of you. I mean, the ultimate thing is to walk away, man.
I wouldn't disrespect a man as I wouldn't want him to disrespect me. There should be a respect code of honor. So for me, if you want to act like a man, honey, guess what? You're gonna
look at this, honey. Look what now. I'm glad you said it. All the ladies are like, yeah, Britt. I'll tell you this. One night, I was working in a bar down in Orlando. And there was this guy, and this girl's fucking kept yelling. I guess probably his old lady. Screaming at him, slapping him. He's like, stop, just chill. She smacked him with a bottle.
Oh, it's on.
He hit her so hard in the stomach, dude, she shit her fucking pants. It was awesome. And, you know, and I say it was awesome because he took so much. Yes, he got arrested and stuff, but, man, I mean, he fucking hit her so hard she shit her pants. I remember.
The guy's a legend. You can get arrested. He's a fucking legend now.
Well, he got arrested, dude. But he took a lot of shit. But she smacked him with the bottle, and he like turned and he just came with his up, like he just fucking. But I used to see him all the time. I'd see these girls pick fights with these guys in the bar, and then all of a sudden, but then you get other. Well, here's the bad thing. Like nobody knows the whole deal, and like you'll see that happen.
The step-ins.
And then these guys step in. I'm gonna save the girl. I'm a hero. It's like you're not a hero, dude. You don't even know what you just got involved in. It's none of your fucking business. Now, if you see somebody abusing someone smaller than them, guy or girl, whatever, and you can stop that, you should help it. But sometimes you shouldn't get involved. Or like when they pull up, like, is there anything I can help you with, ma'am? Is this man harming you? Like, why? Well, you know, it's the other way around. And this guy's trying to calm down the situation. We've all been there, Jeff.
Oh, I've been there.
We've all been there, and someone comes up, some man. I'm like, here, take the bitch then. Take her then. Yeah, you can help. Take her with you.
Yeah.
Fucking clown. Come over here. You're going to save the day. Okay, hero. You're a hero. That's the problem, the heroes. They piss me off.
You know,
it's the heroes.
I grew up with my brother being in a club. So you see a lot, you learn a lot, and you observe a lot. And I also grew up with very strong women in our family, and Troy knows that. And Troy and I were literally with a Discovery exec.
Oh, yeah.
And, you know, Troy told a story, and that exec, who was a friend of ours, who still is, looked at me and really thought I was going to be, you know, so.
Yeah, it was pretty bad.
Pro woman. And he told a really, really bad story we won't tell on TV. But, and he looked at me and goes, Brittany, would you agree with that? I mean, how do you feel about that? And I told him how I felt, and I'll tell you what, that room went quiet, and my brother was so proud of me.
Well, I think if you're going to act like a man, you should be treated like one.
And it was crickets.
It's like, well, there you have it. But.
And then Troy and I laughed about that night at dinner at Hard Rock with two other execs, and we were dying laughing.
That's right, Michelle. That's right.
Because it just, you know, it resignated, but it's fact. And as a
Yep, poor Jake. Yep, that's Kim. You give her some liquor, and she is a 6'6" athlete, MMA fighter too. Whoever's in the way.
But yeah, I bet you.
God bless you, Jake. God bless you.
Agree with me though. You know, she's a tough cookie. That one.
Yeah, but you know, let me tell you something. If Jake decided to say, "Okay, gloves off, let's go for it,"
yeah, I think
it's gonna be a real bad day for Kim. Jake's just nice. He's like, ha, ha. Go sit down. You go sit down now. And then she stops like, oh, I guess Jake's pissed. Yeah, I guess so. It's awesome. Jake, man, that guy's, you got to give it to Jake, bro.
Jake and Kim are the best. I love
Jake tolerates some shit. I can tell you that. Come down again, Jake. It's time for you to do a visit to Florida again, man. We got to do a tour. And on that note, it is 1 hour and 37 minutes and 53 seconds into the show, and I appreciate everybody coming on with us and having a good time and us talking about normal life and crazy stuff. I always do. And everybody's come on and commented and stuff, and you know, put our stuff out there if you want to bring your friends or share it, have more people watch and come in. You know, even if we get challenging, and there's a lot of times that I like it too when people have a different opinion and they want to challenge it. We can talk. It makes things more exciting. I like to hear too. It's a learning experience, like Brittany said, and all of us. We all believe we're students at life, and
absolutely.
You know, as long as I've owned crocodiles in my life, which is more than a lot of people watching's been alive, I still learn something from them every fucking day that I'm like, did he just do that? So I find it awesome to be a student at life with this stuff. So please, anybody want to come in with some cool things or find out some neat stuff or want to talk about some stuff, man, come in and throw it at us and let us know. I mean, I'll make
a cool location that has a cool haunted.
Yeah, let's go do some. Let's find something really dark, limited. Let's get out there and find something really fun and really go do it. And I'll film it. So I think we should go to Green Swamp. I definitely can get with Jeff because he's close to me. I can get all the footage and I can send it to you, Brittany. You can edit it up and take a look at it and then release it. And we'll put it up.
And Ma Barker too.
Well, Jimmy said he was working on that when the time comes. He's going to help us get back in there.
Yeah, I want to go back. Got some new stuff for us to try. Got to go back.
Let's get back and do some new things and take Jeff this time.
Yes.
And, I got to get into my mode and I'll start getting into the stuff. We got to get there and little less contamination, a little more focus.
Agreed.
And people who really don't, not that they're bad people, but anybody who's not really into it or wants to talk over it, then needs to stay in a car, because I want to do something like I want to get it real serious. I want to sit with Jimmy dead silent in a room and really do some work again, because believe it or not, Jimmy is very sensitive to that stuff, and they for some reason they go around him. I don't know why, they just do.
He's just so gentle.
They like me.
They do, but I mean, you got a talent there, Jimmy, and they come and like it's like he's like, I feel this. I'm like, me too, and it's here. And so usually wherever Jimmy comes, we get some good stuff. And
I think the more that Jimmy hones in on it, I think his third eye will open and he'll start seeing things too.
Yeah, and he's gonna be like, holy shit. Holy.
I don't know. We'll see.
Now, one thing I would like to do, and we'll get Brittany there, is I want to go to Casa Dega, and I want to go to do the Devil's Chair. We'll go there one night. That's one of my favorite places. Brittany doesn't like it there, but we're gonna go.
I've been there with you. Calm down.
I don't remember taking you there, but okay.
You don't remember going?
Oh yeah, when we did a something, me, you, and Jimmy went. Me, you, and Jimmy.
I didn't drive like a soccer mom, even though I have a soccer mom van.
Yep, we were there. Yep, that'd be awesome. That'd be awesome. So I'm gonna, I'll cut out for everybody. So everybody sit tight, but I appreciate everybody coming in tonight and supporting the show. Thanks for making us laugh with comments and challenging us and listening to all our bullshit. We appreciate you, and we appreciate everybody comes in, all our friends, family, and people who come along. So have a great night, and hopefully we'll bring some more stuff to you, and we'll see